What's up, cool kids, and welcome to the Langston Frazier Show. This is a brand new podcast that I'm starting that's really something different that you really haven't heard before. Over the course of episode 1, I'm going to tell you what made me start this podcast. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, the goals for this podcast, how this podcast is really going to work, and we're going to hear from you over the course of the next couple weeks and the next couple episodes of this podcast. So let's dive in. My name is Langston Frazier, and I'm a senior majoring in PGA golf management at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. It's the only HBCU in the country to have this distinct major. It's really something cool. I never would have thought in a million years that I'll be in the golf industry, but I am. And I can definitely say it's changed my life for the better. I've been in the golf industry for about 6 years. I started when I was 16. That was my birthday present. I started working in my local golf course. And it's really taken off from there over the last 6 years. I've gotten to work at places in Colorado, Pennsylvania, Florida twice. I've played countless rounds of golf all across the country, and I'm glad that I get to share it with you and my experiences over the course of this podcast and this brand new show. So what made me start the Langston Frazier Show? What really kicked it off was me trying to find a brand new outlet to share topics and conversations and things that I'm interested in another medium. I've done TV, I've done videos, I've done radio, I've done social media, I've done seminars and topics and a whole bunch of different things. But I haven't really found the outlet that fits me, the most. Something that's quick, something that's easy to listen to, and something that's really taken off within the last couple of years is podcast. I'm subscribed to a couple of them from some of my favorite podcasters from golf, from business, from music, across the country and across the world, with my simple Apple iPhone device, and I love them. I listen to them in the car. I listen to them all over the place. But there's not a whole bunch of young people that are doing podcasts that are really interested in what they do. So my goal for this podcast is to tell you the stories both in and outside the golf industry. This is just not strictly a golf podcast. This is more a lifestyle podcast, something that's easy to listen to, and something that's really enjoyable. So over the next couple episodes, I'm going to bring in guests on to talk about topics that are important to them, just not myself, but them as well. From the golf industry, how they got into it, educators, my colleagues that I go to school with, and what their interests are, and really giving you a deeper dive of what the golf industry really looks like from our perspective, not just what you hear from the media and on TV and from your recreational Saturday golfer say all we do is play golf all day. That's not really what we do. And it's really going to give you a deeper dive and a deeper look in what made us get into the golf industry in the first place. For me, I'm a people person. So I really love people and connecting with people. And so that's what really started this podcast. It was me reaching out to one of my colleagues, PGA J Golf on Twitter. He's a really popular podcaster, PGA pro, who really does it differently. He's not directly in the golf industry working at a facility, but he's working in the golf industry, and he's kind of changing the shape of what it looks like to be a young golf professional in the industry. And I put out to him on Twitter, hey Jay, what would it take for me to come on your podcast and be a guest on your show? And it started this whole big conversation on, hey, you've worked all across the country and you've done some pretty cool things. Why don't you start your own podcast? And so that's really what made me start it. Like I said a little bit earlier, I've done TV, I've done radio, I've done video, but I've never really found an outlet to share the stories that I'm interested in. So I said, hey, why not? Let me start a podcast, and I'll be glad to bring you on my show. So this is really unscripted. You know, people like to go into shows, into podcasts, having an outline of what they're going to do. Yes, it's going to be a format to it, which is good because it makes the listeners be informed of what's going on. But this is really going to be your show. I want to connect with you. I'm on Twitter at Langston Frazier. So go ahead and follow me. It's LANGSTONFRAZIER on Twitter. And connect with me using the hashtag TLFSPod. On Twitter, Instagram, connect with me. I want to hear from you and the topics that you're passionate about. And I'll bring my friends and my colleagues onto the show. Next week, we're going to start having guests right off the bat, bring their stories in. I'm really excited to have them. As I know who's going to be on the show, I'll make sure I let you know. But again, this podcast is for you. I want to know what you're interested in. And I'm going to share my experiences with you, hopefully to help young golf professionals and young professionals just in business and in life itself really dive in and get a deeper understanding for what it is to be a young professional in different formats and different industries. So again, I'm glad to have you with me joining this journey. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of the Langston Frazier Show. It's a brand new podcast. We're doing it different. And I'll see you guys next week.